What's up out there, everybody? Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is super excited. I'm actually really glad that you're all here. I, I can't wait for this because we're in 2026 as I'm making this recording. But look, even if you're watching this in 2027 or at some point in the future, it's great information because what we're talking about tonight is setting the foundation. So, as we get into it, here's what I want you to know is going to happen so you kind of know what to expect. Is here's our goals is we know investors grow with community, so we want to create community. We know clarity creates momentum, and tonight we want to help you build your 12-month plan. So that's tonight's goals. If you're here to get the magic keys to the castle, this is not that. If you're looking for us to sell something, there's nothing for sale tonight. This is all free information for our investors that we coach, and we don't even charge anything for that. We just love working with people and we want to help people. I like to say it like this: to whom God has given much to, much is expected. And I don't want to get to the top and not and look back and be by myself. Rachel and I want to bring as many people with us as we possibly can. So that's kind of what we're doing tonight. And here's what we want you to leave with. When you leave tonight, we want you to know what your personal freedom goal is. We want you to have a clear buy box. We want you to have a chosen strategy, a quarterly roadmap, monthly action steps, and a plan that you feel that you can execute. So that's what we're doing here tonight on our first Zoom session of the day. Now, one thing, if you're just logging onto this and you're just joining us, DTI investors, if you go to jrbdreamteaminvestors.com, or excuse me, jrbdreamteam.com/investor, Rachel and I, we love working with investors. And so the way this is set up is each month we have a call and then we have a free get together. I say that to say on Saturday in Peachtree City at 8 a.m., I'm going to be at the Flying Biscuit. And anyone that wants to come eat breakfast with us, we'd love to meet you, talk with you, drink a cup of coffee, talk about your action plan that we're creating tonight or anything that you have in general. So let's get right into it. So, the first thing that you have to do is define your freedom because you can't hit a goal if you don't know what the goal actually is. So before we talk about deals and properties and strategies, we have to talk about why you're investing in the first place. Most investors get stuck because they're chasing opportunities instead of designing outcomes. I'm going to say that again. A lot of people fail because they're taught to chase opportunities. We want to teach you to design an outcome. Freedom is not vague, it's measurable. And if you don't define it, you end up very busy, but you don't actually fulfill anything. So when I say freedom, I want you to think about freedom in three very specific areas, okay? The first one is cash flow. So let me ask you this: how much monthly income would it actually take to change your life? Now, not a fantasy number, a real number that reduces your stress, creates margin, or replaces part of your income. So let me just help you think about that. I was a school teacher. Rachel was a school teacher. At one point, we thought we needed a certain amount of money to live because that's what it took at that time. I remember when we had our third son coming through, Jeremy, we couldn't figure out, like, Rachel wanted to be with everything inside of her to design a business and design everything that she could be the wonderful mother that she is. And we were a little nervous when she was getting ready to step out of the classroom, but we started to ask ourselves some questions. What are you having to spend in clothes to work at school to meet their dress code? What meals are you having to make? How many times do you eat out because you do these things? We found out that our actual live with number was not $9,000 a month. It was $4,500 a month. Now, that was us. Your number may be different, but I want you to think first off, what is freedom? What amount of money do you need every month that if you had that, you could pay all your bills and you could eat and live comfortably and you could not work for the man or the woman ever again? That's the first thing I want you to think about, okay? The second thing I want you to think about is doors. How many properties does it realistically take for you to hit that cash flow number? And I want you to stop guessing. And I want you to think now, if you've done no deals, you've never closed a property, I'm so glad that you're here today. You are my people, and I want to reach and help you. So it's okay that you may not know the answer. You'll figure that out. I will tell you that in our portfolio, generally speaking, a single family rental that is one house, that has one person or family living in it, Generally, it profits $300 to $400 a month after expenses. Now, a pad split property, that's a midterm rental, may get $1,000 a month, and a single family rental, or excuse me, a Airbnb may get more than that. So it really just depends. But for right now, just figure out if you want to be a renter of houses, think about take your number and divide it by 400, and that will give you a general idea of how many properties that you need to accomplish that. So be thinking about that, okay? And then the third thing, and I would argue the most important, I want you to think about really quickly is what is your time and your lifestyle that you want to live? What does freedom give you access to? All right. Now, some people here may say millions of dollars. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good goal for you. For our family, it was time. We wanted more time. I was at a job that was an 80-hour work week. I wanted to be home and spend some time, at least see my kids at some point in the day. So that's what it was for me. I know someone else, it's legacy. They come from a family that's never left anything behind for their kids. They want to leave something behind. But would you think about what is it that if you had this freedom, you had this monthly cash flow, and you had this real estate that did it, what would that do for your time and what would that do for your lifestyle? Okay. Now, tonight isn't about copying someone else's version of success. It's about defining your version. The rest of the session is going to be built around that outcome, what your version is. Now, for those of you that are here and you're attending live, I just put into the chat the workbook guide that I want you to follow through tonight. It's nothing magical. It's just that as we give you these thoughts, we're trying to help you write it down. So it's a guide, excuse me. And if you just joined us, or maybe you're watching the YouTube replay or whatever, if you'll send me an email, josh at jrbdreamteam.com, I'll happily email you. It's not earth shattering. It's just as we go through, it's to help kind of flesh some of this stuff out. Okay. Now, you need to write a freedom statement. Now, this isn't a goal, it's a commitment. Clarity has to become commitment. I want you to write something down. I don't want you to think about it. I don't want you to just say it in your head, guys. You have to write it down. And the goal here is not perfection. The goal is direction. You will 100% change this, and you'll probably change it before this year ends, especially if you're new to investing. And that's great. We're excited about that. But you got to start by writing something. Again, not perfection, something to start today to give you direction. So when you put a goal on paper, all right, you give yourself something to aim at. Most people never do it, which is why their investing feels scattered or reactive, or worse, they never even get in the game. All right. Now, here's some questions I want you to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out this freedom statement. And by the way, as I talk, I see several of your faces on the Zoom call today. Don't feel like you have to look at me. I'm ugly looking anyways. It's all good. I really want you to be writing down as I talk. I'm talking and I'm just trying to give you some things to kind of help this out. I want you to write your freedom statement. It's going to say, my goal for 2026 is, and I will achieve it by, that's what you're doing. Now I'm going to keep talking while you're really pondering on that, okay? The first thing is, what are you building? This might be a cash flow number for some of you. For some of you, it might be a number of properties. Or maybe you have a specific outcome. Maybe you have a lot of debt, okay? How you got here, that's okay. You're here now. Maybe for you, the outcome is to pay off debt, or send your kids to college, or create a better life for your children. All right, I want you to think about that. What is your goal for 2026? Is getting to some part of that. Be thinking about that, okay? The next thing I want you to think is when is it going to happen? All right. You got to put a timeline to it. It's like those people that go, I'm going to get more in shape this year, but they never say how or why or when they're going to go to the gym. It's just, I'm going to go to the gym every day. Well, really? Well, what times are you going to go? How many days a week are you going to go? And the real winners don't say, I'm going to go 4 times. They go, I'm going Monday at 8. I'm going Tuesday. Like, you got to write it down. All right, because that creates a sense of urgency, and urgency is important. All right, this doesn't have to be fancy. Simple is powerful. And if you're unsure, that's okay. Just to recap, pick a direction. You can refine it later. So I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to write down your freedom statement. And this is going to be the foundation of everything else that we build on. Okay. Good. Yeah. Cool. Lots of action going on in the chat. Love you guys. I love what you're doing, what I'm seeing. All right, let's keep trucking. We're going to keep trucking now. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we got to figure out how we're going to get to that, right? So you've got freedom in mind, but we got to figure out how you're going to get there. So we got to choose a strategy. And this is one of the most important decisions you're going to make this year. Most investors struggle not because they lack opportunity, but because they try to do everything at once. Too many strategies lead to scattered results. I know, like at my household, I love it. Rachel is so like centered. She knows what she wants. She doesn't get lost in things. And I'm so thankful I'm married to her because I'm the opposite. I get like shiny, flashy light syndrome. I'm ready to jump to the next thing. And, oh, butterfly. And I'm looking over there. So this is so important that one of my coaches taught me. So tonight I want you to focus because tonight you got to choose one primary strategy for the year. One lane, one focus. Maybe that's cash flow rentals, BRRRR strategy. Maybe it's flips. Maybe it's midterm rentals. Or maybe you're into private lending. I just want to go ahead and say there's no best strategy, but there is one that probably fits your goals, your time, and your season of life. That's important too. So your primary strategy that you're choosing right now is where you're going to put your energy for this year. It's what you want to learn deeply. Your podcast, your books, your conversations, it's all going to be related to this thing. And it's important that you build a team around it because if opportunities come along outside of that, it's okay, but they can't distract you because the world is full of great opportunities. But if you're not careful, all the opportunity is going to distract you. It's going to give you analysis paralysis. So we got to get rid of some of that because clarity creates confidence and confidence creates action. So ask yourself which strategy best supports the freedom I just wrote down. And I want you to choose it and I want you to circle it and you're going to commit to it. Now, real briefly, because I do see on the call tonight that I have some investors that I know are brand new at this. So let's just really quickly, a cash flow rentals. That means you buy property and you turn right around and you rent it to someone. I'm going to buy a property. My payment on it is going to be $1,500 a month. I'm going to rent it out for everything, including expenses, at $1,000 a month. Therefore, I have made $300 a month. A little more complicated, but that's the general idea. BRRRR, that's what Rachel and we do two of these options, and we love it. This is us. We like to buy a house that is in horrible shape. We love it. I walk in, it smells like cat pee, and I go, money, money, money. I love it. I walk in, fall through the floor. That's great. Anyways, but we will buy a property. We will then renovate the property. We will then rent the property once it's renovated. Then we will refinance the property. Okay, and then once we're doing that, we move on, we hold it, and we move on to the next one because we rent it. We buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and move to the next one. That strategy, we're going to do a whole other session on it. But in that one, friends, sometimes you can buy property with none of your money in it. I'll get lost there because I get excited, but that's the BRRRR. A lot of steps, but a lot of greatness. Now, flips, that's simple. That's somebody that really wants a lot of cash. You're going to go in, you're not planning on keeping it. Warning, this is a job here. It's not really necessarily an investment business, but you're going to go in, you're going to buy a house for $100,000. You're going to put $50,000 into it, and then you're going to sell it for $250,000, making $100,000 of profit. That's a flipper. Midterm rentals. That's somebody, we do these as well. We use pad split. That is, I'm going to rent by the room by the week, right? It's not short term like a day. It's not long term like a 12-month lease. It's I'm going to rent some rooms or I'm going to rent a house for a medium amount of time, like 6 months or a week or something. Short-term rentals, that's like Airbnb, a lot of work, but a lot of high income potential. There's private lending. That's somebody that goes, I don't want to hold the real estate, but I've got this war chest of money on the sideline, and I want to give this money to other people and have them pay me back 12% interest plus fees or whatever else. Lending is an amazing opportunity. We have friends that are great lenders. Rachel and I have done some lending. So that's another great investing strategy. And of course, they're hybrid options, which are sort of versions of all of that put together. So again, tonight, what I want you to choose is a strategy that interest you. Now, it's okay if you choose one tonight and you dig in because you're committed to it and you realize in 2 weeks, nope, you're going to come back and go, I'm going to go to midterm rentals, whatever. But you got to choose something. You got to get in the game. So, right now, I want you to choose your primary strategy, okay? What will you invest in? What will you not invest in? So, fill in the statement. I will focus on blank as my core strategy this year. So, take a second. I want you to write that in. While you're writing that in, I want to remind you of something that I just said that's so important that you pick up on. And choosing a strategy, the most important part is not the strategy, it's you're choosing to not do some or to specialize in some of the other strategies until you get really good and you master one. A lot of people are jack of all trades, but they master none. All right. So now you have your strategy that you've wrote that down. So now we got to talk about your investing criteria because you got to become a specialist with a singular focus. Now, Rachel and I are investors first. We also are licensed agents. So we talk about that a lot, that we're licensed agents, but we are real estate investors first. That's why we like working with real estate investors as real estate agents because we are investors. All right. And people go, how do you find all these properties, Josh? Like, where do you find them? How do you get the connections? It's because I'm a specialist. I'm singularly focused on very specific areas and I know what they are like the back of my hand. Here are the things that you should think about when you're establishing what you're going to do. Location. Where are you going to invest in? I suggest if you're new to this that you invest within a 30-mile radius of your house. That's a great get started location. All right, especially in Georgia. Now, if you're listening to this and you stumbled on it and you're from New York, maybe not. Maybe you're looking a little out of state or someplace. But where we're at regionally in the southeast, Florida and Alabama, Tennessee, North South Carolina, really those locations, think about somewhere within 30 minutes of your house, unless you have more experience. All right, property type. That's important. What type of property? Are you interested in condos, mobile homes? Single family houses, apartments, lots of different options, but you can't do them all. They all have different strategies and different things to know. So pick one. For Rachel and I, we got started with a basic, not exciting single family house. And to this day, we've got one duplex or two duplexes, multifamily, but we are singularly focused pretty much on versions of single family rental. We'll talk about that later. Know your property type. Next thing is price range, or more advanced, we'll know it as math. So price range. What priced houses are you looking for? Now, for my more advanced folks, the number that I look for is 65% of after repair value, ARV. Now, what that means is I look on a house, and if I decide that that house is worth $100,000, I'm looking for a house that's worth 100 that I can buy at $65,000. All right, that's my thing is I want 65% ARV. I'll buy a house and pay $400,000 for it if that's only 65% of what it's really worth, like if it's worth 800,000. All right, cash flow minimum. What is the minimum amount per month that you're willing to make? Rachel and I, generally speaking, if the house is going to cash flow less than $300, we don't pursue the opportunity. Would I take one for $100 if it fell into my lap? Of course I would. But I'm not actively spending time searching for less than that because I want to be a surgeon. I want to be strategically focused. I know exactly what I want. So I'm really digging in. For us, it has to be $300 or greater. Or in our case, with some of our midterms, it has to make $1,000 a month or more for our midterm rentals. Now, what's the condition? You may say, I have no time. I don't want to do a lot. Then your condition is you're looking for livable right that second, right? That's what you're looking for. We target houses that are like C plus, like they are livable, kind of, sorta, but there might be a hole somewhere. The roof is leaking, smells like cat pee. Somebody died in there. Like we love those houses, right? Because we want to take a house and we want to buy it at 65% of value. So there's got to be something wrong somewhere, and we're going to fix it and make it worth more. That's our strategy. So our condition is bad. What is your condition? Put what you feel is comfortable. All right. Are you comfortable with a rehab? We were. You might not be, and that's okay. Which, by the way, a little pro tip for you. You can be comfortable with a rehab and not do it. I cannot swing a hammer. I am not skilled. And you're like, well, Josh, how did you do all that? I found an amazing contractor. In fact, if you walk in any one of our houses, you're not seeing my work, you're seeing a contractor who has done an amazing job. And I hope that you come to our properties and admire his skill. And I celebrate it because he's really great, because I found a great contractor. But you don't have to use a contractor. You can buy a house that virtually needs nothing. So, buy box. This is the reason why we had all that discussion, all right? This slide is not about buying frilly things. It's not HGTV. The slide is about speed and confidence. A buy box is simply a set of rules that tells you yes or no before your emotion gets involved. And if you don't have a buy box that is written down, every deal can feel confusing or every opportunity feels urgent. I mean, someone could email me a deal, and if it's a one bedroom, one bathroom house, maybe it's a great deal, but I don't get that excited about it. I don't look at why it's not in my buy box. I don't want to spend hours pouring through one bedroom, one bathroom houses when my buy box is three bedroom, two bathroom brick houses with built 1980 or past. So you got to know what your buy box is. All right. So just to kind of rehash some questions you're going to ask yourself for your buy box. Where will you buy? What type of property fits those goals? What type of cash flow do you want that makes sense for you? And what condition are you comfortable in? Because when those answers are clear, your decisions get easier. You can stop chasing shiny objects and you can stop second guessing yourself and you start moving forward so much faster. So here's the key. Your buy box should support your freedom goal. All right, and your chosen strategy. And if it doesn't, it's got to change. So I want you to take a moment. I want you to write that down, okay? Write that down. I see most of you are no longer looking at me. That's great. I want you to write this down on the sheet. All right, you got to put it on paper because the clearer your buy box is, the fewer decisions that you have to make later and the more confident you're going to be. Good. I see you guys. I see you guys writing. That's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. So my buy box is, and you see an example up there while you're writing, three bedroom, two bathroom homes under 250,000 in Coweta County that are turnkey, which basically means it doesn't need anything. I could do it today. I like three bedroom, two bathroom homes that I can turn a living room and a dining room uh, and some other office area to make it a six bedroom, two bathroom house. That's a pad split. That is, I can buy it 65% of the after repair value, and that I can do it in Coweta, Fayette, Troop, South Fulton, or Meriwether County. Good. I see a lot of you finishing up. That's fantastic. Good, 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 good. Okay. I'm going to keep trucking. I know I'm throwing a lot out to you, but I see we're at 32 minutes in. I promised you guys this was going to be intensive, right? I told you I was going to talk fast. That's why I gave you that sheet of paper. So if we don't finish something or if I keep going, you could get back and you can think about it. So big goals can feel overwhelming when you look at them all at once, right? That's why we have to break them down into quarters. So quarterly thinking turns ambition into action, right? Instead of asking, how do I hit my goal this year? You say, what's the next right step that I should make in the next 90 days? Here's what I want you to think about for each quarter this year. So this year has four quarters, right? And each basically 4 months makes up one quarter. So quarter one, the first 4 months of this year, it's about building momentum. You being here tonight, thinking about this is a sign that you're in the right place, right? This is how you build deal flow, right? It's where you start to get relationships, knowledge, systems. It's the groundwork, it's the foundation for 4 months. Here's what you need to do in quarter one. You want to get there, you need to find a real estate meetup that you need to join. All a meetup is there's a group of people wherever you're at right now in your city, probably within 20 to 30 miles of you, there's a group of real estate investors or real estate agents. There's a group of real estate professionals, and they get together to educate and to network. And you got to get yourself in the room. All right. One of these days, I'll have to share the story. Rachel and I went to our first one. It still meets to this day. If you're in Fayetteville, shout out to Danny Williams and everybody at Triple E. We went to this real estate meetup at the IHOP, And I remember I dressed up because I was like, oh, these people are gonna be millionaires. Nah, dude, they're like in Hawaiian shirts and shorts. We were like the nervous, awkward little kids in the back. We didn't know anybody. We didn't know what to talk about, but we showed up. And then we kept showing up. And then we had questions. And then we finally felt comfortable to ask questions. And now the great irony is so many people in that room are our friends to this day. We're going to talk about building a team. For the record, Dealmaker Atlanta, if you go to dealmakeratlanta.com, that is mine and my partner Eric's real estate meetup. We meet in Fayetteville at the Lion Creek Brewery. And you can come. This is not a big, expensive meeting. In fact, most people, when they come, they donate $10. That just helps us cover the cost to rent the space. But if you've never come to our meeting, come to Dealmaker Atlanta, and you can come for free on me the first meeting and just come in and walk up and introduce yourself. Say, Josh, I saw your webinar. I'm here today to meet people. And again, our next meeting, if you go to dealmakeratlanta.com, you can see them. And you get in the room and you meet folks and you ask questions and you learn, like there's usually an educational topic. Okay. I'm going to quit talking about that. But for a lot of you today, if you've never done a deal, your very first step is to attend a real estate meetup. It's more important than any book you're going to read is to know people, okay? Quarter two is about execution. That's where you got to get a deal under contract. You've done all the learning. It's time to move from planning into action. So see January, February, March, April. So sometime between May, June, July, and August, you got to go buy a property. Like that's the hard part. A lot of people get stuck there because that's going to take courage. It's going to take balls. It's going to, you got to go do it, right? So that's quarter two. Quarter three is about stabilization. So you got the property. Now you got to renovate it, or now you got to get the right financing on it. You got to optimize it. You got to find the right tenant. And then quarter four, that's where you're going to reflect. You're going to scale. You're going to add some systems. You're going to go analyze what did I do good and how could I do better? And for a lot of you, if you've never done your first deal, I just gave you the quarterly process that you needed to take one deal down this year and to finish this year for the very first time in your life, getting the first one done. For some of you, you're going to do 30 of them that way, but that's okay. Our pathways are all very different. But the most important step is that you got to have a quarterly goal and it's got to be written down. All right. So write one simple target per quarter. Write one simple target per quarter. All right, I'm giving you just a second to think about that, okay? One target per quarter. Again, at its most basic level, quarter one is you're committed to education and getting your foundation. Quarter two, I suggest having some goal related to I will purchase this many properties at this time, and you got to be committed. If you've never done one, feel free to put one. I mean, it's okay. Quarter three, all right, depending on your strategy, what are you going to do? You purchase something in quarter two. So in quarter three, what do you got to do to it? Is that a renovation? Is that a refinance? All right. And then in quarter four, all right, you're going to write what is your plan on reflecting on it? All right. Guys, you're doing great. We're over halfway there. I'm really, really proud of you. This is a long one, but it's so important. How many of you've always wanted to write down the stuff, but you just never knew what to write? Anybody? Can I see your hands in the chat? Yep. Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. And it's okay. We didn't know what we were doing either until we sat in a thing just like this. And I was like, I've thought about all that stuff, but I've never had anyone go, this is what you write to plan. All right. Now, these days, our plan is much bigger. Now our business plan is actually Rachel and I get together every year and we put it together. But this is what you need to start right here. And even what we do today is just a bigger version of this. Okay. Now, we got to identify your power team because investing is a team sport, friends. So this is a reminder that if you're going to get there and get there quickly, you're going to have to get to the top. And also for those of us that I'm not at the top, I'm still trying to get there. Like I'm a layman. I'm not Grant Cardone flying on my private jet or anything, but I have reached a level that I'm trying to help other people get up here with me, right? So look, no one builds a portfolio alone. The fastest growing investors are not the smartest or the most experienced. They're clearly, if you're looking at me, they're not the most good looking, right? I don't live in the biggest house, but they are the most connected. All right, your power team can include the people who help you move faster. They're going to help you avoid mistakes. They're going to help you stay focused. And it starts, in my opinion, now this is my opinion. There'll be people who disagree. This is what our team is based on, right? It starts with agents and lenders who understand your strategy. Then comes contractors and insurance professionals and bookkeepers who know real estate. And don't underestimate the value of mentors and peers that have walked this path before you, right? All right, mentors and peers, where do we find them? At the real estate meetups. Again, I have to, I'm not even selling anything to you. Some of you are in states far away from me, and I'm like, go find the one there. By the way, if you type in elite deal maker, or elite deal makers, I can't remember if there's an S on it.com. There's a whole team of deal maker meetups all over the country. Go there. You'll find one. Jim Ingersoll puts all that together and does an amazing job. There are groups everywhere that you can join and be a part of, right? Now, if you're missing pieces of your power team, that's normal. That's why we're here. But community is leverage, and the right relationships can shorten learning curves and protect you from expensive mistakes. So, I want you to write down the people that you think you need for your team, depending on your strategy. And while you're writing, and that's okay, you don't have to be looking at me. I want you writing. I'm going to go through some of these. Number one is a real estate agent that is an investor agent or understands investing. All right, if you go out in the marketplace and you Google who is the real estate agent that has sold the most houses in our area, but all they've sold is 40 million in retail homes, that didn't help you at all. You didn't find a deal. You just got somebody that sells a lot of houses. It needs to be somebody who is either a real estate agent that invest themselves or at least works with investors. All right. One of my coaches as a real estate agent is TJ McGraw. And TJ, you got to get with him. Meet if you come to Dealmaker Atlanta, I'll introduce you to TJ and ask TJ about his first rental house. In other words, he can tell you about it because he's done that thing. All right. He learned from some things and made some mistakes and has improved from it. It's a great start. All right. Come talk to me. I'd love to be your agent. And we can actually get in my car and go drive around. I'll show you the houses that we actually invest in. Here's why I think a real estate agent's a great person to be on your team. All right. For a lot of you, if you're just getting started, you don't know where all these houses are, but your agent does. And fun fact, this year, Rachel, this past year, we did about, I can't remember. I think we even had somewhere between 10 and 15 properties that we sent out that never even hit the MLS because you need to realize that if all you're doing is on Zillow, whatever gets to Zillow, that's after the real estate agents and the investors already picked through them, right? That's how, like when I see a good house come through, I've already sent it out to my people. It never got to Zillow. That's something to think about there. Now, the next thing you need on your team as a lender, this is again my opinion, unless you have your own money. Like if you have your own money, that is fantastic. Skip that step, right? I have two lenders in our business for every transaction. The first person is a private money lender. We have some individuals that will lend me money. Like I don't pay 20% down for real estate. I pay 0% down. If I find a house that's 65% of ARV, I pay no cash out of my pocket because I have a person who I give them my integrity and my trust. They know if I say I'm going to pay it back, they know I will because I'm a person of integrity, and I will borrow their money and I'll go into the deal. I'll get everything ready. And then when I go to refinance with the bank then pays them back for what they gave me plus the interest that I promised them. And I tend to pay a higher interest rate to them, right? Because they gave me money. I was a school teacher. I didn't have $1 million to give away, but I found other people that did that helped me out. So I borrowed their money and paid them back interest. So I had two lenders, just to recap, a person that lended me money when I had none, and then a bank lender or a mortgage agent that then did the refinance that took care of all of that. And we can get together and I can explain that. Which by the way, if you're like, but Josh, I don't know anyone that's a lender. I've never met a private lender, money lender. Do these people really exist? Come to my meeting. I will introduce you to, in fact, I'll walk you up and introduce you to my private money lenders. They are real people that are awesome. And if you are trustworthy and you have integrity and you find them a good deal, they might lend on it. And they usually do, right? I can't ever speak for anyone all the time. But anyways, I'll keep going. So contractor, if you're going to do something that needs work, you need somebody that's going to do the work unless you're skilled at that. I was a band director, so there's not a lot of ways that playing a trumpet, a clarinet, and a flute fix a house or add value. So I had to bring in a contractor. By the way, how did I find a contractor? I showed up. I did not get on Angie's list. They're expensive. I didn't Google. They're charging retail prices. I needed someone that I could trust, that was trustworthy, that would give me a fair price. Um, and that if I gave them my integrity, in other words, that every time that there's a bill, I paid them a fair price, that they would also be in my camp too. How do you meet those people? You go to real estate meetups. All right, the next person that you need on your team is an insurance person. because every house you get, you got to insure. That's kind of like a requirement. But if you're using the big name insurance companies, you're going to pay a lot of money, right? But there are insurance companies out there that specialize in insurance products just for landlords. And they're great. And if you need one, shoot me an email. I'll send you one. We got for our real estate portfolio, we have three different insurance. There's one person that has most of them, then we have two others as well. And all three of them are great. And I would be happy to share them with you. As you grow, you're going to need a bookkeeper or a CPA. I suggest you have a mentor. And by the way, a mentor, that's not a guru you pay money for. A mentor is just someone that you've met, that you believe in, that you listen, that you do everything you can to add value to them. And then it's like a yellow notepad. You're listening to them to figure out how you can get good as well. I have several. Eric Vogel helped me get started. Danny Williams, I consider he's a person that hosts triple E. Look, a mentor is a person like maybe you go to a conference and you listen. Pete Fortunato, whereas Pete wouldn't know me. I go to Pete's clinics and his seminars, and I'm sitting there because the man's a genius, right? I consider him like a mentor because when he speaks, I'm listening. Bill Cook, Gary Johnston. There's local people. Keith Gettinger is a person here in town. Reggie Law has been incredible and just really been a great coach for me. And I'm so blessed to know some good people. But when you find your mentor, um, again, for your mentor relationship, make sure it's somebody that's done what you're trying to do, right? That's important. They have to be credible, all right? And it's not somebody that's just trying to take your money, though it's okay to pay for a mentor. I know people that do that. But at the end of the day, it's someone that sees something in you and that believes in you. Now, there are more people that you could have on your team, but these are the ones that I suggest you start with. Now, power team gaps. The goal is to ask who, not how. So here's something to ask. Which roles do you have right now? Do you know how to find your own properties? Okay, great. Maybe you skip that and instead go for a contractor. All right, which roles do you need? And also, how can I help you get connected? That's a big thing. And I don't want any money for anything. So if you're watching this today, especially if you live in Georgia, because that's where our insurance agents and everything are all licensed, and that's where we're licensed for real estate, but reach out to me and go, hey, I need this. I need this. And if I know of the person, I will try to help you with that because we're all stronger when we work together. Now, maybe you've never invested in real estate because you go, well, I don't know how to do that. Great. The reality of this is right now, I do not know how to fix electrical. Yet I've redone the wiring in four different properties. How? I partnered with a great electrician that did know how to do that. I don't think about how will I do it. I think about who do I need to meet that knows how to do it and how can I add something to them and they can help me. That's what I think of. Now, we're almost there. We're getting the very end, but we got to break this down into monthly action plans because this is where everything becomes real, right? So, goals and plans only work if they turn into consistent action, not heroic effort, right? Not burnout. It has to be consistency. So, monthly actions are the small behaviors that compound over time. All right. They are the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. All right. That might mean analyzing a certain number of deals every week. That's one of the things that I got started. I listened, I just took a bigger pockets boot camp. And that was one of the big things they said, even before I did my first deal, is you need to be analyzing three deals a day, every day, until you feel confident to get in there and do it. For the record, I never felt confident. At some point, I just had to jump in and do it. But I learned the math because every day, and it got to where it would take me 2 hours to do it. And then these days, I can kind of look at something and know within about 15 minutes if it's worth pursuing anymore, right? All right, maybe it's networking intentionally instead of randomly. All right, maybe you're trying to get real estate advice by eating at the Twisted Taco with your uncle, cousin, daddy's brother's sister who knows nothing about real estate and is broke and is poor, and you're trying to get your financial advice from, but you never go to a real estate meetup where all the people are. Or maybe you say there are no homes, but yet you don't spend any time with wholesalers or, again, other real estate investors or real estate friendly agents because you got on Zillow and thought they weren't there. They are there, they just never got to Zillow. Or maybe you think that money is scarce and that you'll never have any money because you didn't weren't raised with money. My parents gave me the best they have, but money was not one of the things that they had, so I didn't get that. And then I get out there and I find it. All right, whatever that is, all right, you got to write it down into your action plan. So the key is you got to choose the actions that you want to do and that you can repeat, and you got to repeat them even on busy weeks, right? You don't have to do everything. You need to do the right things consistently. So I want you to write down some things that you are going to do, 3 monthly actions. It's even better if you write daily actions, but we'll start small that you're going to do. Now, here's just some examples. All right, you're going to analyze X number of deals weekly. All right, you're going to attend events. Hey, you're here on a Zoom call tonight, right, squad? You know, I've got one more coming up. Or, and by the way, if you're freaked out with large groups, come eat at the Flying Biscuit with me this weekend. We're going to drink coffee, eat eggs. My 3-year-old's going to be there. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be hard to have a conversation, right? But he's going to be there. Bring your kids. Maybe that's something that you stop because you got an infant that cries. Bring them to the Flying Biscuit. I don't care. All right. Network consistently. Maybe you're going to make a plan to start touring properties. Maybe you're a real estate agent watching this and you are amazed that Rachel and I find all the good deals and you can't figure out how. Maybe, just maybe, it's because I keep touring properties and writing contracts, yo. That's on my monthly action plan. My goal is to write 20 contracts a week. If I'm not writing 20 contracts a week, I'm not getting there. Why is that true? Because I know that's 80 contracts a month. And if I write 80 contracts a month, I'm probably going to get 2 to 3 deals. All right. Uh, Post inside the Dream Team investor forum. Like, shoot me a message. Let me know you're out there. All right. So, what are you committed to? All right. Hopefully, you committed to something. You thought about your freedom number, right? You chose a buy box. All right. You had some goals, and now you're making some commitments. All right. Because here's the reality: you got to lock in your blueprint. So if you did everything that you're supposed to do tonight and you followed it, and I realize we talk fast, right? Because I promised to keep these things down to an hour. I'm at 50 minutes, and I want to hold true to that. All right, so you're going to have to go back, but you need to set a goal. Maybe if you didn't get finished tonight, you're going in the next 48 hours, right? You got to give it a time limit. I will finish this because here's if you do it, you're going to have clarity, which means with clarity you can take action, the right actions. And if you can just keep taking actions every day, that becomes a lot of actions, and we call that momentum. All right. And if you have a lot of momentum, we call that a snowball, right? And that gets you to freedom. All right. But freedom, you can't get there without momentum. You can't have momentum if you never take an action. And most people never take action because they never had clarity. They just saw a whole bunch of stuff, but they never saw the right thing. Okay. So that's what I wanted for you tonight. That is the foundation of what you need to have a successful 2026. All right. I'm not just successful because I wanted it. I'm successful because I planned for it, because I set that foundation. Now, in closing, all right, just to kind of finish this up, and then I'm going to end this part in the recorded part of this, and I'm going to hop into the Zoom and answer questions and dig in here. And I can see in the chat we got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm really excited. But look, this Saturday, I'm going to be at the Flying Biscuit at 8 a.m., just eating breakfast. Even if nobody comes, I mean, hey, my family's going to be there. We're just going to eat some pancakes and hang out, yo. But we'd love for you to come. Because if you've never been to a real estate meetup and that just intimidates the heck out of you, I'll be the first one to jump in the fire with you. And let's eat pancakes and talk about your goals and your dreams. Maybe you need a connection. Maybe I can help you with that. Maybe I can't. I don't know, but we'll find out. Or maybe you know something I don't know, and I'm going to learn from you. It's a great time to just sit around and, like I said, eat some pancakes and chat. Also, if you go to jrbdreamteam.com/investor, you can see next month what our next topic is. And also, I think next month is IHOP, but we're getting together again. I think it's in the afternoon on the next one. And again, you just show up and we just talk. Now, here's an event we have coming up at the time that I'm recording this. It's the start of 2026. So we have Dealmaker Atlanta coming up here in Fayetteville, Georgia. And we're playing the game Cash Flow. It's a board game. Now, we're going to play it with some rules that you might not be expecting. So be prepared that we're going to find out if you're the king of cash flow. Now, why would we play a board game? Because there's a point to this, and it is a great one to come. If you've never played the game, you are perfect for this. Please come. And if you've played the game a whole bunch of times, I'm going to change it up. So be prepared for that. But we're going to walk through the how to start from a job that doesn't pay great to getting out of the rat race and living freely and living freely. If you're interested on that, go to dealmakeratlanta.com. Dealmakeratlanta.com. So, in conclusion, I just want to say how much I'm thankful that you're here, that I value you, and that you are in the right place at the right time. Keep believing in yourself, keep dreaming it, set that great foundation, and all of us together, we're going to have an incredible 2026. Not because we desired it, but because we planned for it. Great job today. Thank you for setting the foundation.